into the Gaming Discourse. I'm Tyler Frater alongside Richard De La Cruz, who is not here today, and Chief Engineer Lieutenant Commander Connor Frater.
Hello.
It is Monday, August 28th, 2023. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at the Gaming Discourse. Go to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Gaming Discourse. A new video is up public on our YouTube channel. Part 2 of my retrospective looking back on the Splinter Cell games. So this one is sort of a review. Well, it's a retrospective, whatever. Looking back on 2 Double Agents, Montreal, Ubisoft Montreal, Ubisoft Shanghai, and then also at Splinter Cell Essentials, which was a PSP exclusive developed by Ubisoft Montreal. To sort of put it in a small sentence, the Double Agents were very ambitious, but completely messy. Just a complete disorganized mess, but they had some really cool ideas that just never bored out. Is that a thing? Is that a verb? Bored out?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. I don't know. I just said it.
It's like to drill out the middle of something.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Thank you. Okay. Go check out the video. I think it turned out pretty good. 26 minutes. So you can watch it with lunch or something like that. I don't know if you have a 30-minute lunch. We've got news. We've got games. Connor, what would you like to talk about?
Just a real quick recap of what I've been doing. Going through Mass Effect again. Beat Mass Effect 1. I'm on 2.
Is this your 3rd time through the series?
This is like my...
Really?
Yes.
Wow. What keeps you coming back?
It's honestly the full story of Mass Effect up until the last mission in 3 is a good story. It is a good story up until the last mission. And you know what? I wholeheartely believe the indoctrination fan theory.
You're just gonna go for it?
Yeah. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on it. I am 100% in agreement. Marauder Shields was trying to save us from the ending.
Marauder Shields. I wanted to believe that. I remember when I learned about the indoctrination theory, I wanted to believe in it. Everybody believes in a conspiracy theory at one point in their lives. That was mine. That's better than flat Earth or something. Mine was the indoctrination theory.
Have I told you my favorite conspiracy theory that I believe?
No, I haven't.
I'm going to go for a quick tangent. So, I believe that the moon landing was intended to be faked.
Was intended to be?
Yes.
Okay.
And NASA
but you
did
believe the moon landing is real?
Let me finish.
Okay.
And NASA did hire Stanley Kubrick to film it.
Okay, this is a meme. Come on.
I know, but I love it. Fuck you. And they hired Stanley Kubrick to do it, and he is such a stickler for attention to detail that he made them shoot on location.
He made them shoot a fake moon landing
on location.
The moon. Okay, there. So he was like, the perfect place to do this fake moon landing is on the moon. So that's where we're going. Okay. Yes, that's a meme. Come on, you can't load up an old internet. We got to make better content than that. Okay, tell us more about your 18th Mass Effect playthrough.
So I've been going through as an adept. I'd never really done just pure Space Wizard.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
And God, it's broken.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, you were saying last week you could just levitate bosses.
Yeah.
And everybody just shoots at them. It actually sounds kind of morbid.
A little bit.
You're like a Paragon Shepherd while all you're doing is like force choking bad guys.
So in 2, you have fewer abilities that you can use.
Mm-hmm.
But the core ones are still there. You still have the lift. You still have the throw, warp. Those ones that, were the main cycles. The one issue is you don't, as an adept, you don't have abilities that are really good at taking down shields. That's where your squaddies come in.
Sure.
So I have their abilities. I usually bring Garrus with me because he has an overload, which decimates shields. And then he has a concussion shot, which decimates barriers. I can also take care of barriers with warp, but I prefer to do my method, which is use my squad mates to take down their shields and or barriers, and then use throw on enemies, because the cooldown on it is so quick that I can launch it, and by the time it hits him, I could be launching another one. So I could just stun lock him.
Stun lock bad guys.
And they'll just be flying around the map.
Man, you know what? This does make me want to go back. Are you playing the HD
the
or whatever?
Edition, yeah.
The Legendary Edition?
Yes.
Now, those are just HDs, right?
Yes.
Aren't
so it's an HD touch-up for 1. 2, it doesn't look too much different from how I remember it.
Okay. What do they run at? Are they 60?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, because going back to 30 frames hurts my eyes now.
One might be at 30 frames.
Okay.
But the game came out in 2006.
Okay. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, it does kind of make me want to go back because I only played through Mass Effect 1 once. I played through Mass Effect 2 twice. Mm-hmm. And the second time was because I lost my save and I wanted to replicate it for 3. Put in a lot of work for that. And then I played through Mass Effect 3 once. I still remember, and I'll tell you what, probably one of my more formidable memories, and maybe one of the things that made me so like a sci-fi nerd, is opening up the galaxy map and that music. Dun, 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 and you like scroll around all the different star systems and stuff like that. That's probably one of my favorite moments from a game ever is opening that up and going to another planet or something like that. And in Mass Effect 1, there was more, I remember there being more of an emphasis on like exploration.
Yes.
You could land on planets and walk around, and there was a
so
planet
in the
where
first
there were
one
like
you had
monkey alien things.
Yeah, in the first one you had the Mako, which you could drive around. In the second one you have the Hammerhead, but it's locked to specific DLC missions because it was a DLC vehicle.
Gotcha.
They really did away with it in the second game, except for very specific missions. But yeah, no. Play through them again. They're good. You know they're good.
It's just the ending makes me so sad. Maybe I can write a fanfic. I'll write my own ending there.
There you go.
Maybe that's what I'll have to do. Okay, so is that all you wanted to discuss?
So my girlfriend's first time playing through them, and I got to enjoy her watching the opening of Mass Effect 2 where the Normandy just gets wrecked and then Shepard dies. And she was like, "Is that really how they're fucking opening this game?" And I'm like, yeah. Roll credits. Mass Effect 2's over. Shepard died.
I never really liked that ending because I thought the way they like reconstruct Shepard, I always felt that was a little too. There are some Star Trek episodes where it's like they have to do way too much to rectify something. Yeah. It felt like that, where it's like, whoa, what you... I don't remember how exactly they did it, but I always remember feeling like, I'm just going to pretend that didn't happen. that they somehow like recompiled Shepard molecule by molecule after they were incinerated or something like that. Is that how it happened? I don't remember.
I don't think Shepard was incinerated because during the opening cutscene, when they're like doing all of like the science to get Shepard back alive, they just talk about exposure to no atmosphere. Like the body was just exposed to no atmosphere because you were in space.
Well, maybe it's not as bad as I remember.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I've still been playing Baldur's Gate 3. Continues to be very, very good. I continue to run into little bugs here and there. Not game breaking, but definitely frustrating. But overall, the game is still fantastic. The characters are interesting. I'm taking my time with Act 1. I have not reached Baldur's Gate yet. I'm still taking my time with Act 1. I got through just a hard as hell boss fight today, where it wasn't a normal boss fight where you just slap the shit out of a boss. There's like a special way you had to go about doing it, which made it difficult because it was tedious, but it was still fun. Finding creative ways of solving problems in that game is really good. I ran into a problem where, so I was in a castle, lots of bad guys. I snuck in and I pretended that I was friendly with these bad guys, so I was able to run around and pick off groups of them. And I got to a point where the last group of bad guys, they were in this big room, and I wanted to try and pull them away from the room and take them out bit by bit. But whenever I started combat with one, it would aggro the entire room. So I was like, okay, I need a creative way of dealing with this. And it was like 8 on 4. 4-on-4 is fine, but 8-on-4, double the enemies, it's really difficult. So
what you do is you just go around collecting boxes and crates,
That's-
and you make a maze.
that's what. Does that actually work?
I don't know.
Okay, because enemies could, I mean, I guess theoretically, but you'd have to find a lot of boxes, and it would take a lot of time. You're better off just finding barrels.
But it would be worth it.
It would be funny, I guess. But
do it for the views.
But anyway, so what I ended up doing was this castle is split into two halves. There's like a big upper floor and a lower floor connected by stairs. And one flight of stairs is destroyed, so the only way to get to the second floor is through the other flight of stairs. So what I did was, at the first floor, underneath a balcony, I cast a spell that lures enemies. It's like a little 1 health familiar, a kitty cat appears. And
Find familiar?
No, I don't remember. Maybe.
Okay.
But it compels NPCs to investigate the area. So what I did was I pulled those 2 enemies down first, and then as they were split from the rest of the group, I attacked them, initiated combat, and then the other enemies, it would take them like 3 or 4 turns to get down to my location, because they had to run out of the room, down the stairs, and that was a really long distance to get to, so I was able to take out those enemies, and because of the way that the stairs curved, they couldn't really hit me with ranged weapons very much. They could on the balcony, but it was kind of tricky for them. So what ended up happening was they kind of came down the stairs like one at a time, which meant I could sort of focus on them. And then as they were coming down the stairs, I sort of fought my way up the stairs. So it was a pretty cool dynamic moment of combat. One of the things that was annoying was I called for reinforcements with a special horn that I have that calls in powerful friendlies to reinforce, but they didn't help. They just stood there, and I was really frustrated by that. So yeah,
They were on their union mandated lunch break.
Yeah, they're like, whoa. So it's the middle of the day.
So we got our lunch break coming up, so we're gonna go ahead and sit this fight out.
Exactly, and I was frustrated by that, but I'm looking forward to getting. I think I'm almost done with Act 1. I've done a lot of different stuff. Pushing enemies off a cliff is how you kill everything. There was one really cool moment where I was fighting a giant spider boss, and in this spider cavern, it's kind of a cool design because there are these pillars that are cut off, stalagmites, right?
If they're hanging from the ceiling, they're stalactites because they're holding on tight.
Okay,
Stalagmites are from the ground up.
Yeah. So they're stalagmites, kind of like a stalagmite, but wide little platforms you can stand on and jump on top of. And there are these bridges made of web. If you step on the web, you could bring other spiders out, and you can get stuck. But the web you can destroy just with a fireball spell. Take out the web because the web only has like 4 health. So I was really happy with myself because I was doing a really good job managing this boss spider that had a ton of health, but I was able to like stun lock it a few times, using my abilities, using my spells well. And at the very end of the fight, it had something like 30 health left. So, and this was out of like 150, I want to say. And the spider was on one of those bridges. I was like, okay, what attack can I do? And I was like, wait a second. Instead of attacking it, I'll attack the bridge. There was the ground underneath it. It didn't fall into an abyss. So I attacked the bridge. The bridge burned up. The spider fell. It had like 30 health left. It took 36 damage. So that's how I killed the boss. So I was really, and so there's all kinds of things like that where all kinds of different ways you can take out enemies and creative ways around solutions. And that's what makes it really fun. I just got a really good piece of armor that I'm excited to use. So yeah, I'm excited because where I'm at now, the story has sort of stalled because I have progressed the main storyline to the point where now it's time for me to go to Act 2.
Yeah.
But I'm doing a bunch of other stuff. So it's kind of in this weird state where I should be moving on, but I'm doing other things. So there's no like big developments. And so I just got to wait until I'm done with all that and then move on. But I'm almost finished. So yeah, I'm excited for that. There was one other thing I wanted to mention. I saw a story in PC Gamer about a demo on itch.io about a Twin Peaks game demo. And it's in the style of like a PlayStation 1 game. So I was intrigued. I went, it's free, downloaded it. I would highly recommend checking out. It's like Twin Peaks. I forget what the subtitle is, but it is made in sort of a PlayStation 1 style, and it's very clearly sort of a not a Resident Evil, a Silent Hill type game. Yeah, that's it at the very top. Twin Peaks
Into the Night.
Into the Night. It is very cool. They recreate a lot of the different stuff. The visuals are neat. Again, it looks like a PlayStation 1 game. If you're into Twin Peaks, I would highly recommend checking it out. itch.io has a ton of fun things like that, but to see sort of a fan game with that level of quality is really neat. And Twin Peaks is sort of the perfect genre for a Silent Hill type game, because Silent Hill is like a scarier version of Twin Peaks in a weird sense. And I'm not sure if Silent Hill was inspired by Twin Peaks or not. I guess the sort of small town American small town horror, I'm not sure where that trope started, but Twin Peaks is certainly one of the I guess poster boys for that genre. But yeah, check it out. It's free, it's cool. Hopefully they're able to finish it. It was just a demo, but from what they put out there, it looked really freaking cool. And yeah, okay.
The producer, Akihiro Imamura, said that specifically Silent Hill 2 was inspired by Twin Peaks.
Oh, okay, there you go. That's not surprising. That's not surprising at all. Okay. Thanks for listening. If you like our content, please consider subscribing or leaving a like and comment. You can find us at patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. And our tiers are $2, $4, $7, and $10 and include getting your name in the video credits, early access, and access to our Discord server. Okay, so we're going to get into this Eurogamer interview with Phil Spencer. The interview conducted by Tom Phillips, I believe. Wide-ranging conversation about Xbox. Topics include game streaming, preservation, and Spencer's belief that the Series S is a good entry point for console gaming, and he emphasized that mobile was the primary reason behind the Microsoft to Activision Blizzard deal. That's something we've known for a while. A quote here from Spencer.
Xbox.
If a mobile device is the only device you can own as a consumer, how are you going to be able to play the amazing games that are on the Gamescom show floor? I don't think the device that you should own, let me redo this. I don't think the device that you own should be a barrier to the games you get to play. I want to make sure, for the health of those retail games, that they are available on the fastest growing platform, which happens to be the mobile phone. It's really the only one of the three that's growing. Console is relatively flat in terms of player numbers. PC is relatively flat in terms of the number of players. Mobile has been really all of the growth in this industry over the last 10 years, end quote. Okay, so there was a lot of interesting stuff in this interview, and Phil Spencer is echoing things that he has said in multiple interviews. We know that that King is the big part of this Microsoft Activision Blizzard merger, so that's not a surprise. But I guess the questions or maybe concerns I have with Microsoft's this thing about mobile and this thing about how do we, if we want to grow as a business, we need to get mobile. I think there are some things there. Firstly, mobile is not a platform made for games.
Correct.
It's a platform that you can play games on. And for the most part, the history of that platform has not been a place of innovation and artistic flourishment for video games.
The majority of it is all derivative schlock.
Yes, the majority of it is bad. Obviously, you have, I'm blanking on the most famous, Monument Valleys. You've got games out there that are not derivative schlock, to put it in. You have games like Genshin Impact that, so I'm not going to sit here and say there are no good mobile games or that mobile is incapable of having a good gaming experience. But I do think it's important to point out that the history of that paradigm is not one of games, is not a game-centric paradigm. And that's opposed to something like PC and consoles, where those are platforms that are you could argue with PCs that it isn't true, but I think there's an entire sector that works on PCs specifically for gaming, right? And then consoles obviously are made for gaming, and the last console that tried to make itself not for gaming is why Xbox is in this position in the first place. So I guess the concern I have is this worry that the desire from the games industry to grow hurts the medium in the long term, because the paradigm that they want to grow is not an incubator for good games. It's an incubator for games that funnel you into pay-to-win microtransaction retention bullshit, right? And that already has broken into mainstream gaming, and that's a problem itself. But that is so obscene in mobile gaming that it makes me worry. And yeah, I would love to see what Phil Spencer would have to say about something like that, because I'm not sure. And this already kind of happened with VR, right? In a sense. So, let me backtrack for a second. So the second part of the worry is if the games industry focuses, if a huge part of its focus suddenly becomes mobile, then that's where all the investment and that's where all the money is going to want to go, and that's going to alter how games are made, and that's not a good thing. And I think you can look at free-to-play games, and I don't think free-to-play games have been a positive on the games industry. Halo Infinite is not better because it's a free-to-play game. I think it's been made worse because of that.
Absolutely.
I have not played Destiny in a while, but I don't think Destiny was made better by being a free-to-play game. I don't think Overwatch 2 was made better by being a free-to-play game. I think Overwatch 2 is made better by being a free... Like Call of Duty, I don't think Call of Duty's been necessarily been made better by being a free-to-play game. So those are, again, that's not a different platform. That's a different, I guess, genre or market. But those have not... That paradigm has not produced better games, right? So we have lost innovation because the financial focus has been on a sector that is not about making good games. So in a similar fashion, you look at VR, the Meta Quest 2 or whatever was cheap, sold like hotcakes. You had a huge market for it, right? And suddenly in the VR landscape, you had a cheap headset based on a mobile platform that dictated so much of what games had to do. And so what ended up happening is you had cases like Onward, which was a game that was built for PCs. It had to find a larger audience, and the larger audience was on this underpowered headset. So it goes to the Quest 2, whatever, and it has to downgrade its visuals. And there you go, right? So you have a game that had to downgrade itself to fit itself to a paradigm, because that paradigm was dominated by a company whose strategy is not about making the best games possible. It's not about making a platform where games can necessarily flourish. Meta's strategy is metaverse bullshit, social media nonsense that nobody except Mark Zuckerberg really gives a shit about. Oh, and people that want to, sell off their stupid fucking apes or whatever. So that's about it. So when you think about, okay, somewhere in the interview, Phil Spencer talked about, I want, how do you play Starfield on mobile? You can't, but you can stream it. So that's what we want to build up. And that's great. But my fear is that eventually there's going to be an executive that says, well, why can't we put Starfield on a mobile platform? And when you explain, well, because it's not a game made for mobile, they're going to go, but revenue stream, but retention tail. And then all of a sudden you're going to have, you're going to have the focus on big AAA games being games that can somehow work simultaneously on both phones and consoles. And that's not going to be good for the console side of gaming. And the console side of gaming is where the best games are and where the worthwhile games are. So,
yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to say about the interview or?
There was something. Lost the thread.
Okay, that's fine. I think Phil Spencer he's a company man. But I think of all the executives at all the companies, he is the one who shovels the least amount of bullshit, I think. Because I think he
doesn't want to get those sick blazers dirty.
He doesn't want to get his sick blazers dirty. He's got t-shirts that are pristine. Right?
All those gamer tees.
All those gamer tees that he walks out, pristine. He doesn't want to get, he wasn't getting anything on those. He is a company man, but I believe that when he talks about, I want everybody to be able to play our games, and he talks about the Xbox ecosystem reaching as many players as possible, those are things he legitimately believes in.
Yeah.
As opposed to people like when Strauss Zelnick talks about, I don't know, when Strauss Zelnick talks about, we got to give our creatives, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, Strauss, I don't believe you for a second. You may think you're that way, but the moment that you can press the button to put microtransactions in GTA, you smash it so hard it breaks. So I'm not going to believe that you really care that much about the creative process. And maybe I'm naive, but I think there's a little bit of sincerity there with Phil Spencer. But he is at the top of a massive company that's tied to shareholder bullshit. So, at the end of the day, he's a company man. He's going to toe the company line. And we've seen that in the past. Don Matrick was not the only person that said, if you can't go online, the Xbox One is not the console for you. Stick with 360. Okay, let's move on. This is a story that's interesting, and I'm not sure how long we're going to talk about it, but Stephen Totillo wrote a story for Axios looking at the lack of Madden reviews from games media. So it kind of went down like this. Madden, which I didn't even know this, released to early access on August 15th, and there were no reviews at the time it released into early access. By August 18th, when it got a wider release, review aggregate site OpenCritic listed just 4 reviews. IGN, GameSpot, and Game Informer reviewed the game just this week. So that was a couple weeks ago when those 4 other sites went up. Electronic Arts apparently sent review codes out on the 15th, which is the day it hit early access, and requested scored reviews not run until August 18th. So what's interesting here? You have this annual release. You have this divorce from coverage, from reviews, from criticism. And what does that mean, and what is that about? I think this is really interesting. You said you saw some Madden footage?
I saw some Madden footage, and the game isn't good.
Okay. Do you have specifics?
All right, so the video I was watching, it was a guy running through the replay of the play that just happened so he could show what was happening. And I forget who exactly teams he was playing. It doesn't matter. But the essential is... the quarterback was about to get sacked, and he had already pressed the button to throw the ball. But the game doesn't have an animation for the quarterback getting sacked in that instance.
Oh, really? Weird. Okay.
So the two models collide, and they start sliding while the game tries to figure out what to do. And then the quarterback gets sacked.
Oh, no.
And it's a good second of sliding and a good, 3 or 4 yards of him getting pushed back.
Damn.
Yeah. And then he gets sacked for a loss.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean it's good for the defense, but
picked up the quarterback and slammed him. That's a flag in real life. So okay, obviously sports games have an incredibly a very casual market, right? There's a lot of people out there that buy it annually or buy it every few years that are not into video games like you or I are. There's a different market for that. And of course, why is this? There's a billion reasons for it. You want to play as Aaron Rodgers on the Jets, and you have all the
misses.
All the misses and all the rosters fully complete and stuff like that. I think it's a shame that sports games are where they are today because this is not something that's that old. I think it's fairly recently that sports games have been turned into such just slop for microtransactions. Yeah. Another example of when the industry focuses so much on trying to increase returns that they just fucking annihilate an entire genre of video games, which is too bad. But this annoys me because how do we? I guess there's nothing we can do except I don't know, scream into the void, because it is a problem. And EA knows that they can get away with it. And we live in a time where, I don't know, how do you, I don't know, I don't want to sound like I'm covering Watergate or anything like that, but it's like, how do you speak truth to this? As the media, how do you cover this? I think Eurogamer and Kotaku have put out some really good sports reviews the past few years. I forget who it was for Kotaku, but they reviewed one of the NBA 2K games a couple years ago, and they said it's not really a game, it's more of a microtransaction with a game attached to it. So I think that's important. But how do we put pressure on these companies to do something different? How do we, I don't know, how do we drive a discussion about games that reach such a casual audience when the companies that are doing it don't really care? I don't know, but that sucks. And I'm not sure what the solution is. Maybe one of the things you could do is review the game and just, but like that's something that like Angry Joe does. Like every year, it's like, this is the worst Madden of all time. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, give it a panning, but make it fair.
Yeah, you could do that. And I it's been a while since I've played a Madden, so I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know how really good they are or anything like that. And this is another well, it's interesting because Maddens are still a premium purchase. I wouldn't be surprised if it's $70 now. But the only reason it's $70 is because of that casual market. Because I think you make a game free and you bring in a ton of people, right? And the idea is that you make back that initial cost, you make back through microtransactions. But they know that the audience for Madden is so casual that they can just keep that $70 purchase there, and it's gonna work out either way. So they don't need to take it away, which I think is particularly skeevy for sports games. They may do it eventually. They may make Madden free to play and other sports games free to play. But yeah, this is another example of a genre or a game that has been ruined and just utterly torn apart because of greed. And so going back to that Phil Spencer interview, it's like, you want your games to be everywhere. That's good. You want to be able to grow as a company, so you have to find a mobile market. That's good too. But do you realize that if you focus so much on mobile, that's going to be to the detriment of games in general? I think that's true. And you see that with sports games as well.
Madden 24 is $70.
Yeah, $70. Even though it is not a $70 product, no. Fuck that shit. I'm not going to believe for a second that there's no way that Madden I'm sorry, and that's what. Yeah, when we talk about should games be $70, I have no idea. But Baldur's Gate 3 is $60 and Madden is $70, and one of those games is a fucking hellhole, and the other one is going to be remembered forever. So I don't know. What do you want out of video games? Do you want Baldur's Gate 3, or do you want to buy a bronze, Josh Jacobs or something like that to put into your Madden Ultimate Team pack or whatever? So which one do you want?
I think ultimately what's going to happen is there's going to be a tipping point where the Venn diagram of upset gamers and the Venn diagram of football fans, that little sliver in the middle, someone's going to make their city skylines, but of sports games.
Yeah, and I don't know the licensing thing. I'm not sure how you would do that with the NFL. The NFL is also a horrible company, so it's not like they give a shit. So yeah, there's been attempts. There's one series of games, I forget what it's called, Axis Football, which I've had my eye on for a long time, but I've never played it. That one's also partially funded by Patreon, I think. I think they have the development team has a Patreon subscription, so they're pretty small. But yeah, it's too bad. And it's all sports games. It's FIFA, it's Madden, 2K is horrible, and the show is also very bad in that regard. Tons of microtransactions. And, it's just not as easy to play. When you look at like the main menus for some of these games, it's just so cluttered. And it's so, can I just play through a season? Is that possible? And in like FIFA, it's like, can I just play a season? And then you have to go like 3 menus in to find it. It's a whole lot of bullshit. Okay. Last story real quick here. Epic has announced its first run program. This is an opt-in exclusivity program offering third-party developers 100% net revenue of user spending on eligible products during the first 6 months of exclusivity on the Epic Game Store. The program is available to games and apps that have not been previously released on another third-party PC store or included in a subscription service available on another third-party PC store. After 6 months, the revenue split goes back to 88-12, which is what it is usually for Epic. This is cool.
Yeah.
I don't bemoan people who put their games on different storefronts or whatever. I think as the developer, you got to take your opportunities where you can get them. I think people should want competition. You should want people shilling out money from Xbox to get their games on Game Pass, or from Epic or I guess here they're not shilling out money, but they're offering you a better split in the initial revenue. We've gotten, I think Steam has been a positive. It's incredibly complicated. I think Steam has been more of a positive than a negative.
I would say a slight net positive.
And we've gotten really lucky that Steam does not have an affinity for NFTs or pay to earn bullshit or anything like that. Steam is not perfect, and there's tons of other stuff that's horrible. But we're lucky that that's the case there. But at the same time, that's going to end one day, and I would hope that we have established some kind of competition in the PC marketplace that's more than just Steam and then everybody else, right? Tim Sweeney is somebody that every time I hear him talk, he also seems like someone who sincerely believes in something. He also says stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Every time I go on Twitter, he has like he has like a massive thread with talking about like engines and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, well, at this point, I don't know. But with the Epic Game Store, it seems like it's a sincere way to try and break open the games in the PC gaming market. So I think that's good. It's tricky because I do think Steam has been mostly good, but I also don't want Steam to not have anything to have to fight against or compete with. And at the same time, Steam is also I've got so much going on that I don't know if they are if they would even consider themselves in competition, because they've got the Steam Deck and they've got so much more there that I'm not sure how they would approach it. But yeah, I think this is a good thing and all around cool. Do you have anything you want to say?
I think it's it's a good move, especially for indie developers. 6 months of 100% net revenue,
and that's usually the most important. I want to say it's like the first week your game is out. That's like, I may be wrong here, but I remember hearing, or if I remember sort of the anecdote correctly, it's like the first week is the most important, because that's statistically after that you have the long tail. That's after the big peak in sales, and then you have the long tail after that. Nowadays with live service games and stuff, it's more complicated because you may get jumps or updates that kick a couple of those big spikes and people play the game more and stuff like that. So it's more complicated, but I don't think any developer would turn down 100% of the 100% of the net revenue.
No, I want less money.
Going out from the get-go, and that's a good thing. More money going to developers is always a good thing, and I will never bemoan a developer for small, specifically smaller developers. Right? If Ubisoft takes this deal, fuck off. Like, Ubisoft's a different case. But I will never bemoan developers for putting their games in whatever places they can for the best deal that's for them.
I don't think I know you're just using Ubisoft as a punching bag and as a joke for them doing this, but I don't think they would even qualify because they have Uplay.
I don't think they would qualify. I'm not. I have to look at the terms of service again, but Yeah, and I don't think Epic Games Store would even want that. Because
Yeah, no. This is more geared towards.
Yeah, this is definitely geared towards smaller developers.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Okay. Are we ready for tidbits?
Sure.
What if I told you, in this world, there are bits, and there are tids, and Richard is the only man who can put them together into tidbits. But he's not here.
Who's going to put them together?
Me.
Oh.
Go watch my Splinter Cell video.
Oh, okay.
That's my tidbit. Go watch the Splinter Cell video, patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse, $24710. I don't think we're going to get a new episode of Gaming Discourse FM this week.
Probably not.
Richard's not here. I guess we'll find out. Other than that, we'll see you next week.
Bye.